I mean, in terms of like our lives, right?
I know. Is TV 20 ready?
I gotta wear my voting sticker.
You voted already? Good morning. Today is Thursday, October 30th. We're calling this Utilities Committee to order. Madam Chair, even though we don't have any legislation, can you still call the roll, please?
Casey,
Present.
Spencer,
Here.
Bishop, Ray, Harsh,
Here.
Kelly, Valencia.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today, we're here for the third quarter presentation from Digital C. Everybody knows, or at least they should know, Digital C was chosen by the administration to provide internet for all throughout the city of Cleveland for $18 a month. So we get quarterly updates from them. So Josh, if you'd like to bring you and your team to the table, come on up. And is anybody here from the administration? You guys can come on up too. Good morning, Josh. Or Mr. Edmonds.
Good morning, Chairman Casey.
If you could just introduce your team.
Absolutely. So, to my immediate left, it's our Chief of Marketing Communications, Ms. Valerie Jerome. To my immediate right, it is our Chief Financial Officer, Marlene Pietek. To her right, it's Mr. William Nicholson, who's our Head of Network Operations. And then to his furthest right, it is LaDonna Norris, who's our Director of Outreach and Education.
And then who's here from the administration?
Thank you. Stephanie Wernet, Chief Innovation Technology Officer.
And Ricardo Reynoso, Digital Adoption Manager.
All right. Where are we at, Josh?
Well, we do have a presentation, but I'd be remiss if I didn't also introduce in our audience. We have on our team, too, Ms. Chanel Miller, who is our Government Affairs Manager, as well as Mr. Augie Napoli, who is supported by the Mandel Foundation. Continued support for us to help us refine our efforts on development and relationship building in this city. So, on to our presentation. Again, I do want to thank this council for the progress that we've been able to make. This has been historic. And I know that I had led with that before we did a lot of our work, so I would say maybe I got my hand smacked a little bit. People wanted to see those results, and I get it. I get Digital C's history, and I own a lot of this story as it relates to our more recent evolution. You know, this Saturday marks 3 years for me, 3-year anniversary of being at Digital C. So to be able to see this growth, it's very special to me, and it's something that I hope that you all can see the emphasis as well. Now, I want to start, before we get into some of our metrics, that this is Cleveland, obviously. We've been, for the last decade, the least connected city in America. Actually, over a decade, and many of you all have heard that line that was used for so long. That's according to the American Community Survey conducted by the U.S. Census. So that has been the reality for Cleveland. But as I'm looking at this and what we've been able to accomplish, I want to be very clear that we don't need perfection, we need progress. And the progress that we've seen today, has it been perfect? No. But it's progress nonetheless, and again, in the least connected city in America. So the advancements that we've seen and the results that we're presenting today, that is our commitment to that progress. When we think about the digital divide, it's two parts, digital and divide. The digital represents the infrastructure. That's the wires, that's the towers, that's the computers, the gadgets, the gizmos. But the divide represents the people, what we believe, how we use the internet, why we use it and why we don't use it, the skepticism in our city, all those things, that's the divide. We cannot solve a digital divide if we are still divided as people in this city. And I would say that this effort has been one where we've been reducing both divides, both the technology one and the people one, as evidenced by the way that we're able to sit at this table and move this forward. Now, when we look at the Cleveland model, that's what it's been dubbed. So if you guys are looking from this from a national standpoint, the Cleveland model is what, if we go anywhere, people are like, oh yeah, you guys are doing the Cleveland model. Now, this isn't just, again, Digital C, this is you all. You are part of that equation too. So I don't want to make it seem like we're the only ones on this side of the table. It is a connected table that takes the council, the administration, Digital C, and our residents. That is the Cleveland model. That isn't a model that exists, again, in other cities. This is something special that we get by being in Cleveland because we allocated the ARPA money to support something like this when other cities didn't. And now as you all see the world getting a little bit tighter, social services being cut, certain federal priorities that are really disenfranchising communities across the country, Cleveland had the foresight to invest in something that is now getting national recognition. All the way from getting investments from Google that some of you all might have seen earlier this year, to named from Broadband Communities as we had the Community Improvement Award, one of the Trendsetter Awards, Technology Partner of the Year finalists. There's a global award that we are actually on the short list for that will be announced in December, globally. And so our impact isn't just a local one, it's not just regional, not just national, it's global. So this is one of the ones that this is a review that we took that I would hope that you all can see this as a point of pride. So on average, we have 178 public-facing Google reviews. Public-facing. I don't have anything to do with it. That is what residents are saying. Said, we asked the question, can you tell us why you scored us so highly? They gave us 5 stars. He said, because it's the best, and it's the best thing that ever happened in Cleveland. That's what a resident is saying. They're not saying that about just Digital C. They're saying about this initiative, and again, that exists on both sides of this table. When we see something like that, that's beautiful. However, this is a 0.2 star one too, because we're 0 stars, but this is the 0.2 where we have to go. So like, when I look at something like this, it says, terrible service. The service team said they would come, but took multiple days to hear back. Do not use them if it's needed. You will not have a good time with this service. Useless company, the city needs to stop funding. Now look, I'm putting that up there because normally I wouldn't want to put a criticism like this publicly about us, but they're public anyway, so here we are. And again, as we said before, we don't need perfection, we need progress. And on our side, we are not here to make excuses, we're here to be accountable. And we're not just accountable to the residents who like us. We're accountable to residents who might not have had the best experience with us either. And I think that accountability and that standard set, that's leadership. That leadership, you all feel that every single day. I'm sure there's decisions that are made where residents are very vocal against you all. The same thing's happening with us, but at the end of the day, we still continue to show up and serve our residents. So we are at halftime as it relates to this RFP. At the end of this year, we'll be 2 years in. We have two more years to go. And so for us, it is continuous adjustments. Not perfecting, adjusting. Now, as we make these adjustments, we have a culture of continuous improvement within Digital C. We're going to keep getting better. There are concerns that were concerns a year ago that aren't concerns this year. There are new concerns that we're now working through, but again, we have to continuously improve, continuously adjust. That's how we win. It doesn't matter if we want to take it to sports at every single halftime, that's when they make their adjustments. We make adjustments every single day. But at the end of the day, we are 2 years into this RFP. We've learned a lot, and we have so much more to learn. So this is our impact to date. 4,019 households connected this year. For those who remember, the goal is 4,700 this year. So we are, with confidence, saying we are going to hit this goal this year. And that is a beautiful bounce back from last year where we were 20% short. Hitting the goal, and that is a point of pride, and I'm very proud of our team, our organization, and this partnership that's allowing us to connect these residents at scale. So that brings us to 6,821 total households connected since the start of this in January of 24. Over 17,000 residents are now in this service. That's over 17,000 residents. That's huge. Over 15,000 residents trained, and over 19,000 total trainings facilitated. By the end of this month, that'll be over 20,000. By the end of this year, over 20,000 residents will have this service. That is a massive improvement on, again, one of the least connected cities in America. So when we look at the impact by ward, again, this is at the 2-year mark. So we're seeing some clear I would say take rates that are pretty high. Specifically, I look at Ward 7 where we're headquartered. So a lot of that messaging has reverberated outside of the tech hive into the neighborhoods. And so we're seeing a direct correlation there. And when I look at some of the West Side wards, we're seeing some of the lower numbers. And what I can attribute that to is largely the fact that the network started being built on the East Side. So they've had well over a year to take this service, whereas on the West Side, some of these sites went up earlier this year. So it's like we haven't even had a full year for that yet. They're still becoming aware. A lot of residents were like, well, I thought that I couldn't be connected. It's like, no, you couldn't have been connected last year because we didn't have the tower up, but now you can. So it's like, for us, continuous messaging, continuous letting people know that we're available, that we're ready and willing to serve them. So one of the big questions that I always, I ask myself more than anyone else in the company is our sustainability. This is a movement, not a moment. This is not something that I'm looking to say that we can become sustainable purely off of an $18 a month service. We all can do the math on that. I know that. Like if people don't know that, money does not grow in trees. And so as we look at rooting this service, rooting this looks like in home, in business, public sector, private sector. We didn't just build a network that will only connect homes. We have a network that can empower and enable additional service offerings that are revenue generating. Now, we are still a 501c3, and so when we say revenue, we're tying that to our sustainability and reinvestment into the community, hiring local, making sure that, again, that we're rooted and we're not just here for this RFP. I see a vision of longevity and working together with the support of our philanthropic community, as well as the city, as well as you all. This is how we paint a picture of sustainability, because the digital divide is not a one-time fix. You don't get a magic bullet and you fix it. It requires consistent, operationalized investment of effort, time, energy, and resources. Well, okay, I know there's a last slide. There it is, okay. So, as I wrap up this presentation, I do want to give, again, a very sincere thanks. I know where we started, and I know that there's a gap in Delta in trust and our ability. I don't believe that one great year essentially changes the entire public perception infinitely. But what I do see is the results that we've been able to garner with this incredible team of supporters, neighbors, friends, staff. We've been able to write our trajectory enough where I would say that now that I look forward, the expansion opportunities and the way that Digital C can execute, I have full confidence that this RFP is something that we are going to be very successful in. And I appreciate you all's leadership in getting this thing accomplished on both sides. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to add? All right, good. All right, Josh. First question that I have is everybody who lives in the city of Cleveland have access or availability to Digital C, which was supposed to be done by June, right?
That's right. So I would say the network covers everybody. Now, we still have plenty of apartment buildings that we're not really allowed to get in. They might have exclusive contracts that we can't get in. And the other part that I'm glad that we get to bring this up to you all, if we have out-of-state property owners who are not letting us facilitate installs because we have to get the permission of the property owner. So we need that permission, and if they're not responsive, the residents can't get it. So the technology, and again, this goes back to the digital and the divide. The technology is there, but the divide is the people part, where we still need to work with, again, the out-of-state property owners, the apartment buildings, to get us that access for us to be able to ensure everyone can take full advantage of this.
Okay, so without obstacles, everybody in the city of Cleveland has access to Digital C.
Without obstacles, absolutely.
Right. So that's not to anybody's fault, but no matter where you live in the city of Cleveland, without an obstacle, everybody in the city of Cleveland's able to be connected to Digital C.
Without obstacles, yes.
Okay. Did you have something on that point?
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, just on that point, I remember in previous presentations, always appreciate coming with a presentation. It's always helpful. There was mapping that showed tower locations and coverage. I frankly found that very helpful, and just in the same spirit that you had the transparency with some of your slides here, I'd rather see it visually. So I would just encourage that to be a recurring visual that's presented, so then we're all on the same page about the coverage.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Through the chair, absolutely.
All right, now, for year 2, your goal was number of new household internet subscriptions was 4,700.
That's
And you're
correct.
saying today you have
Today,
1,019
that is correct.
to date? The second part of that is number of new adoption service recipients, right?
That's correct.
Your goal for year 2 are 10,000, and what are you saying you're at now?
So through the chair, currently we are over 8,000. The reason I'll say we're over 8,000, that number is a little bit harder to get today because we have a number of community partners who have to verify, we have to deduplicate it, but we are over 8,000. So we do anticipate hitting that goal as well.
And that's the education part, correct?
That's correct.
But you guys also, that's not done just solely by Digital C, right? You have partners that you rely on for that, or you have do you have subcontractors, or are they just partners?
Through the chair, they are subcontractors.
Okay. All right. Couple of questions that I have. How many of these 4,019 are CMSD? And are you counting the CMSD as part of these numbers here as well?
Through the chair, yes, we are. And it's about a 60% split.
60%
60-40.
CMSD?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, 40% just Digital C.
That's correct.
And then we're going to get back into this because what is the price for CMSD student?
CMSD does not pay.
Right, so their connectivity or their internet for the years or per month is 0, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And then the 40% that Digital C is counting in these numbers is $18 a month.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure that not only, I mean, I know it, right? But I just want to make sure that not only do my colleagues understand it, but this is for the viewing audience as well. So through Digital C, if you are a CMSD student and you enroll in Digital C, right, which is that is paid for by whomever. I don't know who funds that. But if you're a CMSD student living in the city of Cleveland and you get Digital C, you get at least 100 up, 100 down internet for $0 a month.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. And then if you are a Cleveland resident and you reside in the city of Cleveland, and we'll get into the difference, but even if you have, even if you're changing over from Spectrum or AT&T or whatever, you can get 100 up, 100 down at least in the city of Cleveland for $18 a month.
Through the chair, that's
I
correct.
just want to make sure that we're correct in saying that because we get phone calls regarding that a lot of times. Well, a lot of community meetings, right? All right. So, how many total subscribers do you have total?
So our total residents connected, we have over 17,000.
And that's in how many did you report last year?
So 2,802 times 2.5. That's the math. So 5,000.
Did you hit that goal last year?
No, we're 20% short.
Right.
So the goal last year was 3,500. We had 2,802.
So if you have 2,802, right, that you signed up last year, and you have 4,000 this year,
That's correct.
right? That's
6,820.
I'm just rounding it. I'm rounding up, right? That's 6,000, right?
So 6,821 total households connected. When we say subscribers, we're counting the subscribing users on the network. So that's 17,000 residents connected. But to your point, subscribing households, that's right, 2,000. Yep.
We're going by households here,
Yeah.
correct? Right. So in my house, we have 7 people in
yeah,
the house. So
yeah.
that would be one household, but 7 residents. That's how you're counting it, correct?
No, through the chair, we've just been taking the national average of 2.5 in a home. But in your case, that is a statistical anomaly.
So
we just do 2.5. But in your, yeah.
You don't know for sure, you're just taking the national average.
That's correct.
Okay, so that 17,000 total connected residents could be much higher,
That's correct.
or it could be much lower.
No, chances are it's going to be much higher given the population demographics we're serving. People living with grandma, condensing living situations is going to be a lot more. So we know it's more, but we went conservative because we didn't want to promise on our metrics.
On that point, go ahead.
Thank you for allowing me another point, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the document entitled Quarterly Reporting Requirements, just wanting to make sure I'm following here. So the end of 2024, Q4 actual 2,801, I mean, cumulative subscribers. And then this says Q2 actual, okay, Q3, okay, that's a very small difference, 6,471.
Yeah. So through the chair, this is the current number as of yesterday.
Okay, all right, so slightly different than the reporting doc.
Yeah. So through
So
the
we're a month later, essentially.
That's correct.
All righty, thank you.
All right, Josh, in your Google reviews, there are people that have said they unsubscribed but are still receiving bills or equipment. And I personally know somebody who is going through this, right? They unsubscribed and you're still sending them a bill. Or the equipment was left behind after unsubscribing. How many people have unsubscribed this year? And does that number still count as a subscriber?
Through the chair, what I do not have today with me is the number of people who've unsubscribed. What I can tell you is that our churn, that's the number of subscribers, we are at 2%. So the national average is 3%. So 2% of that total number. And yes, we do count them as a subscribed household, but we don't obviously count them from a billing standpoint because we're not. But to get to your other part about the process of billing, that is another opportunity for growth for us, that we're continuously finding ways to go back and forth. You know, when we're connecting a household and/or disconnecting a household, there's a lot of communication with residents and back and forth. Very busy people on both sides of the equation. And so I would say that, one, if people are still receiving bills after they've canceled their service or ending it, we're not looking to collect on that. I believe that was just an automated message. But, you know, this is, again, our opportunity for growth. When we look at equipment that's being left behind, in some cases, if someone doesn't own the home and they're renting, as we've said before, you know, this is a very transient population that we're serving. Well, then if they move out, then someone else moves in, it's significantly easier for us to turn them on. Now, we also have to go through the process of subscribing them, educating them on how to use it and things like that. But in certain cases where someone does not own their home, it doesn't make sense for us to take that equipment and then a month later, if they move out, we reinstall in the same place. You know, we want to be optimally allocating, in this case, scarce resources.
All right, so your 0.2 star review, right?
Yeah.
We counted them in the number, right? Even though they subscribed, they didn't care for the service, and then they unsubscribed. We still count them as a household that was connected, correct?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay. And what if somebody is connected, they love the service, but they move, right? And then you have to connect them somewhere else. Is that counted as one or is that counted as two?
Through the chair, that would be counted as two separate addresses. So we're still using our labor, we're still using equipment. Now, in that case, if they move, we'll more than likely leave that equipment on that home, connect another family, and then do our best to follow them. I would say following residents in this city and getting them to connect, it might sound easier at this table, but the reality is, again, we're not dealing with super responsive residents at times. So someone could leave, and it's not like next week we're connecting them. It could be 6 months.
All right, and my next question is for Chief Ornett. When we go through the audit, right, what is the process of confirming? Digital C has to turn over the subscribers to you guys, and I saw a brief moment of that, how intense that audit can be from last year. But my question to Chief Ornett is, how do you guarantee that the information that Digital C is providing is accurate and correct?
You know the answer to that?
Yes.
Does the chief know first?
To the chairman, no, I don't.
Okay.
But
All right.
my colleague does.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, through the chair to the committee. Our internal audit team, they receive the files, all the files subscription-wise and adoption-wise, and they check those against a database of addresses that we have. They also, as far as subscription, they also check billing addresses to make sure that it matches with the addresses that they're provided via the spreadsheet. And adoption-wise, they also do cross-checking between the addresses provided in the spreadsheet and the addresses on the sign-in sheets.
Okay. And then how long was that process last year? I know it was tedious.
Extremely.
Okay, and you're
Tedious.
going through it again this year, correct? Or have
Yes, we
have
are.
you guys been auditing Digital C as we go? Because last year, I think everything was just thrown on you at once, right? And then all of a sudden, everybody's scrambling to get the audit done. But I believe last year we mentioned that the audit should be taking place throughout the year in quarterly basis. Are we doing that this
The
year?
internal audit team is receiving the files and looking through the files on a quarterly basis.
Okay, and then from what the audit team has seen to date, do these numbers look pretty much accurate?
I have not spoken with them recently, but my understanding is that yes.
Okay. All right. At this point, I'm going to open it up to questions from my colleagues. Does anybody have any questions? Councilman Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off the top, congratulations on the very substantial progress that you're making towards this. It's clearly noticeable, and you should all feel good about the progress that you're making towards this. This is moving in the right direction. I do have a couple questions. I just want to go quickly back to the question about the audit, because we like to say trust but verify, right? People can say whatever they want to say, but until you can root it in reality and truth, there's always the question hanging over your head about, are we being honest? So through the chair, we had recently asked for the list of subscribers and told that we couldn't have it. That it was, I don't know if the term was industry knowledge or if it was illegal. So through the chair, why can you have the information and we can't?
Through the chair to the council member, those addresses are protected by privacy laws. We do have the addresses, and we confirm the addresses exist in the city of Cleveland, and that's how they're verified.
Okay, I have a number of questions on that through the chair. Why are you allowed to receive the addresses if we're not?
Through the chair to the council member, it's so we can verify these addresses actually exist.
Right,
To
so through the
confirm
chair,
the
why can't
numbers.
we have the addresses to verify that they exist as well, independently of your office?
Through the chair to the council member, I do not understand the law fully, so I cannot answer that question.
So through the chair to Mr. Evans, why can he have the list of your subscribers but we can't?
Through the chair to the council member, the email said, I'm reaching out with a request of information from Utilities Committee member for the presentation next week. Please provide a list of Digital C internet subscribers, including names and addresses. If we were to have sent that in an email, that makes everybody's publicly identifiable information.
So through the chair to the gentleman, do you have the list of names and addresses
For,
for their subscribers?
yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out why.
Through the chair to the committee, I don't have that list, neither does Ricardo Reynoso personally. Auditing has it because they're expected to take precautions to preserve the information and to keep it confidential.
So through the chair, what list of subscribers are we verifying if you don't have the list?
Through the chair to the committee, the list that Digital C provided the city went specifically to the auditors, not to any other of the individuals, because my email, for example, could be compromised.
Okay,
We
so
have
through the chair
we
to
have
the
a habit
auditor-
of not holding PII in individual things. We keep it very protected.
Yes, yes, through the chair to the council member. I personally do not see these addresses. I do not see the names of people. This is entrusted to the internal audit team because they are, that's their responsibility to protect these addresses, any names that are on the list. That's entirely within their purview to
So through the
protect.
chair, could we have, so there is a group of people called internal auditors who are allowed to have the list of addresses and names of subscribers, but they're not allowed to share that list. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes.
So through the chair, could we have one of those auditors come in to verify at the table that they have the list of people who are subscribed to this and they are personally verifying that list? Because you said you don't.
Yes, we could have, yes, a member of the audit team.
Okay.
join.
And then,
On that point, is the audit team here in City Hall?
Yes, they are,
Can somebody call down to have somebody come up,
certainly.
or down, or wherever they are?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have no problem, Mr. Chairman, believing that this work is taking place. I would just like to know firsthand from the person doing this work that this work is taking place, that they have the list of addresses with the names of the folks and they can verify, because anybody can take a list of addresses and verify that those addresses are real. I mean, I can pull out a database of addresses in the city of Cleveland, right? It's not that's public information. You don't need anything to do that. So through the chair, maybe we can do that today. That'd be great right now.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll switch to a different couple of questions. We'll come back to that. Through the chair to Mr. Edmonds, Everstream filed bankruptcy in May of this year. I had been getting indications that this was going to happen for a little while. For those watching at home, Everstream is the fiber backbone for most of Digital C's connectivity, I believe. And Everstream and Digital C in combination were the one community that existed long before any of us, decades ago, that sort of led to some of the ill will that was sort of hanging over the heads of each surviving organization. Everstream's bankruptcy, my understanding, Mr. Edmonds, was that they were approved to be bought by Bluebird out of Missouri in August, and that sale, transfer, merger, whatever it is, will be completed by the end of this year. So my question through the chair is, how does the bankruptcy of Everstream and acquisition by Bluebird affect your price point that you can offer to residents in Cleveland?
Through the chair, it doesn't.
Okay, can you elaborate on that, please?
It doesn't. I mean, there's no. We've had preliminary conversations with them, but these are long-standing agreements that they're still willing to honor. And in addition to that, we, like you all, figured that something would happen, so we did diversify our backhaul as well and negotiated lower rates too. So it's more than just Everstream as our fiber optic backhaul. We have added, again, other providers to the mix too.
Okay, because I know that part of the reason that this project became so viable was that Everstream offers, I think it was 5 years of either low cost or no cost to Digital C, which was allowing you to essentially pass those savings along to customers, which is how we arrived at the $18 a month. Through the chair, has Bluebird explicitly said that they're going to continue to honor those agreements for the remainder of the life of the beginning of the tap?
Through the chair, no, Bluebird has not explicitly said that.
Okay. So through the chair, when are you expecting to have the conversation with Bluebird? Because this is going to become very relevant to your customers very soon. If they come in and say, yeah, we thought we would, but we also thought a second and changed our mind, and now we're going to raise prices on you.
Through the chair, I believe, again, as through their presentation, we talked about halftime having adjustments. We've been adjusting this entire time. We've been adjusting with respect to, again, diversifying our fiber optic backhaul providers as well to ensure that that reality does not happen for our consumers. Our number one priority here is connecting residents and keeping them connected. And so being proactive about that, for which we have been, we're ready for that. Should they come in and say, you know, we're not doing this anymore, we'll make the adjustments just as we made the adjustments all throughout this contract thus far.
Okay. There is, I don't want to say corporate America, long tradition. I don't want to put you guys in corporate America. You're more of a local, group of residents trying to solve a big problem for us, and I don't want to lump you into that, but the bait and switch has been going on since capitalism was invented, right? You bring people in at a low price, and all of a sudden that price starts to creep up, and all of a sudden, you're looking at the same $60 a month that AT&T is charging, right? So the reason I'm asking about this Everstream bankruptcy, Mr. Chair, is that if the savings aren't manageable with Bluebird, then we could run into that sooner than later. And we always knew that there was going to be an expiration for Bluebird's discounted access for Digital C, but I would hate to see that moment come sooner rather than later.
Through the chair to the councilman, absolutely. We agree with that. And finding where we fit in this equation has also been interesting for us. Not corporate, not quite this, not quite that. It's a very interesting space to be in. I brought up this once more because when we look at Canopy, let's say we did charge $50. Say we did. That still isn't enough to power everything that we're doing.
Right.
And so realistically, I look at that $18 more as a commitment to digital equity, and that's what we said we were going to do. But on the right side of that canopy, where we see us flourishing, it's diversifying us. It's actually having a conversation about revenue. Now, revenue is an interesting word to use when you charge $18 a month. So that it sounds more like a dream to us at some points. But as we began exploring the network capabilities that we have, again, the $18 a month point, that's not where we're going to make our money on subscribers. I would argue that most internet providers don't make their money off of subscribers. They get value from them, absolutely, but a lot of it's diversifying. It's getting the public sector contracts. It's getting the businesses. That's where the money is. This right here, that's where you sustain. That's where you operate. But again, it's very difficult to solve the people side of the equation. And so most internet providers are actually operating at a loss when it comes to this. So it's whether it's 18, 30, 40, 50, the other side of this equation requires us to then go deeper into this community.
That makes sense. I get it. Yeah. Thank you. 2 quick questions, and I see the lady came in. Through the chair, what is your delinquency rate? What percentage of Digital C subscribers are currently behind on their payment?
Through the chair to the council person, I'll turn this over to our Chief Financial Officer.
We probably have about 15% on average that is delinquent.
Okay. And through the chair, can we get a picture of the antenna that you put up on the house? The the receiver, I suppose it would be.
Through the chair, correct. Yes, we can.
I assume that it's all similar technology, that you've got one manufacturer you're working with, and it would look the same on every house. Just send us a picture of that. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe a member of the audit team has entered the room, correct, Chief? Yes. So if she wants to come to the table, and while she's coming to the table, Josh, how many, you can just have a seat down there if you want. How many businesses does Digital C have, or is it all residential?
Through the chair, we have, I believe now we're at 5 small businesses / nonprofits. It's still in a pilot phase, so we're just learning, figuring out how pricing works, figuring out how service level agreements work, how to manage that. So, we don't really talk too much. It's not even advertised on our website because we're just learning. But I believe it's like 5 or 6.
So if a business, which is brand new, and they've never had internet before, and they subscribe, do they get it at $18 a month too?
Oh, through the chair, no way.
Okay.
No, no.
All right, I'm just making sure. Councilman Harsh, if you want to reiterate your question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm through the chair. We want to make sure that's green. If you could just tell everybody who you are, welcome.
Through the chair to the councilman, I am Natasha Brandt, Manager of Internal Audit for the City of Cleveland.
Okay. Through the chair to Ms. France.
Brandt.
I'm sorry. Through the chair to Ms. Brandt. So do you receive the list of subscribers with their names and addresses from Digital C?
We actually, Ricardo actually picks it up from Digital C on a flash drive and delivers it to Internal Audit.
Okay. And so through the chair, then that flash drive then contains the addresses and names of the people that are their customers?
That is the data that Digital C presents in order for us to start the verification process each quarter.
Okay. And then through the chair, how do you verify that those folks are actual customers?
So we do kind of scrub the data. We look for duplicates. We compare it to, an address database. So it's basically the preliminary information to see if we see any anomalies each quarter. But obviously it'll be the cumulative for the entire year that we'll have to look at it again to determine whether there's any duplicates quarter to quarter as well, as well as comparing to last year's data.
So through the chair, I'm still not understanding how that verifies that they are customers.
Okay, so I understand your question.
I mean, it sounds like we're verifying that
Sure.
they exist,
Yes.
that they're real people, and that the addresses are like in the
Correct.
city. Cool, but like,
Correct.
how do we know that they're
So
customers?
prior year, we had also, and we'll probably be doing it again this year, but we have not done that yet. We had actually chosen a sample and actually gone out to those residences to determine whether they had service.
Okay, great. And then, so how big was that sample size last year through the chair?
I'd have to go back and check. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. Through the chair, would we be able to email those folks and ask them?
I know that last year a survey was completed, and the information that we receive, we don't receive the email addresses, so that would be something through Digital C.
Through the chair to the council member, email doesn't really tend to work with the residents that we're talking about.
Okay.
But I mean, we can email.
Through the chair, could we call them to verify?
Through the chair, there's not an issue if we would like to communicate with our residents, but I think the thing that we have to be very sensitive to is the one reality that people are facing with respect to mounting distrust in government and people's personal information. I think that that is something that is a very sensitive topic. That being said, I'm also well aware that there's trust that needs to be on both sides, where you all need to trust that we are doing what we're saying we're doing. So I understand that too. And I think finding a process that protects Cleveland residents while at the same time gives you all what you need, I think that we can find something there. But again, I do want to say that given the national tension right now, resident information is very, very protected for us.
So through the chair, there's also mistrust in government because government spends money on projects that don't actually benefit the people. And I think that the people would like to know that their local government is spending money on a project that's actually benefiting them. And what I'm getting at here is if we can't verify that the people on the list are actually receiving the services, then we don't know that the money that the people have entrusted us to spend on their behalf is actually benefiting them. This is where the whole like audit comes into play. Like it's trust but verify. And I'm sorry, we are very much focused on the verify portion right now. The trust is there. You're winning me over. I mean, I think you're doing a good job. Your numbers look great. But we have to verify this in order for me to sleep well at night.
If I may, through the chair to the councilman, there's actually in each customer's file, there is a chart that shows the activity and for any period you like to see. And the auditors did look at that last year. So you can actually see the activity that's coming from their modem.
From their modem address.
Correct.
So, okay, this is
Correct.
This seems like it has legs. So through the chair, every modem in every home has a unique address.
Correct.
Okay. And we can independently check that from, I don't know, Everstream or Bluebird, or somebody can say whether or not those are active on their network, right? Wouldn't the fiber backline be able to say that that address is active on the network? And essentially, we could count the number of modems that you have going over the network. I mean, wouldn't that be a really super easy way to do it?
Through the chair to the councilman, no, we don't do any kind of traffic through other carriers. They don't see our traffic. Traffic is just traffic. Our traffic is all maintained and managed on our own network.
So you can tell us how many independent modems are active on your network?
To the chair, correct.
Okay. That would be an interesting data point for us to use to verify that the number of households that you are claiming connectivity for are active on the network in a given month or week or whenever. You could snapshot it and say, we have this many unique addresses that we've installed active on our network right now. Does that sound correct?
To the chair, that sounds correct.
Okay. Because through the chair to Ms. Brandt, I'm failing to understand how that audit is more than a very small verification that some of these are accurate, but doesn't really seem to cover the whole.
Correct. Like I hadn't done it personally, but like I said, I have other auditors that have done this, but I just recall the physical going out to those locations as well as to kind of re-verify the data that's in-house. And we did have an extensive tour at Digital C and did see that additional data and their kind of network boards and things like that.
And Mr. Chair, I have one last question, and Ms. Brandt, I ask this in all sincerity, and it's not a gotcha question. You seem like a very lovely person and a trusted, dedicated public servant. Ms. Brandt, is there any reason that you're aware of that you're legally allowed to have that flash drive and we aren't?
Through the chair to the council member, I am not well versed in the legality of that, but I do understand the concepts around it concerning just providing their customer list.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And then I have a question for Ms. Brandt. How are we verifying that through the audit that the households did not have internet before or were on ACP?
I'm sorry, what was the remainder of the
Okay,
question?
so part of this is Digital C was to provide internet service for families who were not connected to the internet or were on ACP, right? I forgot, it's been so long, I forgot what ACP stands for.
Affordable
Connectivity Plan. How is the audit team verifying that the customers, right, that Digital C is providing to the audit team that they did previously not have internet connection or were on ACP prior to receiving Digital C's service?
Mr. Chairman, there was one more too. If they weren't receiving internet at broadband speeds.
Okay, at broadband speeds.
Okay. As I recall, in talking about broadband speeds, I believe that the issue was more broadband speeds than it was for prior connectivity, just because of the 100-100 issue that no other entity is actually providing that type of service in the area.
Okay, so the audit team is not able to verify if the names and addresses that are provided from Digital C previously did not have, and because that was the big kicker with this, right? Previously did not have internet or ACP. So what you're able to verify is that they're customers of Digital C. We're not able to verify whether they previously had internet or were on ACP, correct?
To the chair, that is correct.
Okay.
So so through the chair, when the Affordable Connectivity Program was around, Cleveland was actually the leading city in subscribing to that program. The majority of our residents were on that. So we do ask on our website, prior to someone taking or prior to getting the service, you do have to enter in those fields claiming that you did have this or you did not. There are residents who have said no, they have not had that. There's residents who have said yes, they did. The overwhelming majority that we use is the Affordable Connectivity Program, because the overwhelming majority of Clevelanders that we're serving were in that. Now, when you begin looking at where our service is and where we're connecting people, whether it's in public housing estates or even with the CMSD families, one of the big criteria for participation in that program was if you were on free or reduced lunch. So when you begin looking at our customer base, a lot of those people were on free and reduced lunch and still are, and that they were on the ACP program as well. And so, yes, I understand the verification piece that we have built into our process already.
Sure, but there's no way, in your term sheet that you signed with the city, it was provide internet for people who previously did not have the internet or were on ACP.
That's
And
correct.
you even said at the end of the very last meeting that this year you were going to concentrate on people who met the goals of this and not somebody like myself, right, who already has the internet. But
That's
I want Digital C. I'm not a priority, is what you said last time. But just because you ask a question, there's no way for us to verify through the audit that any of these customers did not previously have internet or were on ACP, aside from you asking somebody to check a box or you assuming just because they get reduced or free lunch that they were on ACP.
Through the chair, that is correct. And what I've also said at this table, even in the last hearing as well, is that the criteria that we're using is a dated one. That's been explained, that the ACP, that ended in 2023. So we're using a dated program to currently subscribe. So this isn't something that, we've been resistant to. We've brought this up saying this needs to be changed.
Well, and I understand that, but you signed the agreement. I didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So I got to hold you to what's in the agreement. I mean, and we started this because ACP was ending. I remember when this council allocated the $20 million, long before this administration came through the door, that the reason that we were doing that was because there was the rumor that ACP was ending, and we wanted to make sure that all of our residents stayed connected. Right? So to say that we're using outdated because it went away in 2023, you kicked it in 2024.
Through the chair.
Right? So to us, we were just more or less continuing I think in the belief of everybody, the administration, you, us, we were just kind of continuing the ACP program.
And through the chair, we absolutely are. So I don't have an issue with how it is. We're connecting the residents. It seems that on the verification side, that's what you all are saying. So I'm saying that the program's outdated. We can keep going how it is now. We don't have an issue with that. We're the ones sitting here with the 17,000 residents in less than 2 years. So we can keep going it this way, or if there's another way to verify, we're more than willing to accommodate that as well.
Well, and that's for our audit team, to go through. It's our job to oversee the dollars and to make sure that we're going to allocate, according to the term sheet and the legislation that everybody agreed on, right? So We're just asking the questions. I'm sorry if you're upset or if you're offended at the questions that are being asked, but I don't care. We need to make sure that the dollars that go out the door are for what we allocated them for. Anybody else have anything on that? Anybody else have anything for the audit team? I don't want to hold you up from auditing. So thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you.
Councilman Harsh?
No, thank you.
Councilwoman Spencer. Mike, you're next.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I wanted to just learn a little bit more about what Digital C does when you do receive a bad rating. How do you pivot? What do you do to adapt and do better next time? Through the chair.
Through the chair, we'll reach out. I'll pass this to our Chief of Marketing Communications, but I'll say more than anything, what we do is, we all see them. Everyone sees them at Digital C. Again, they're public, and there's a response on our side. It's a bit of an internal response to say, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we be better? A lot of this is growing pains infused by those reviews, but there's also a process that we have in place that, again, I'll turn over to our Chief of Marketing Communications.
Through the chair to the councilwoman. Yes, thanks for asking. We take them very seriously to the point where our CEO says, wow, we're spending a lot of staff time on reviews. But we do escalate them to our customer experience team, which has been newly formed within the last 2 years. And if we can identify who leaves that 1-star review, which is in the case of this review that we shared today, because the name doesn't match anyone in our customer database, we will leave a comment on that review saying, please send your name and contact information to us at this email address so that we can reach out to you. Because then sometimes it's hard to help the person when the name doesn't match any subscriber in our database. So that happens. We've also created a dashboard with a customer effort score, a net promoter score, and the turnaround time to resolve tickets. So our customer experience team has looked into analytics, automations, AI, to really assess not only anecdotally how we're addressing each review, but also analytically.
And then through the chair, just a little more about the customer experience team. You said it was set up 2 years ago?
Within
how's
the,
it structured?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, sure. It's not, we, through our growth over the past 2 years with this contract, we have we split head of growth, who's concentrated on customer acquisition, and we took a team member from the growth team, and they're leading head of customer experience. So now it's a dedicated 2-person team to address any calls.
Thank you. And then in terms of, through the chair, in terms of customer experience, in terms of what a customer might actually experience when they call your call center, how does that roll up under this structure of the customer service team?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, that's a great question. The customer call center and our customer experience team and growth all work closely and collaboratively. So what happens when someone calls our call center, they use the same system that we use. It's called HubSpot, a customer relationship management tool. So that call translates to a ticket, which comes into our pipeline, and it'll say, hey, this was received on this date, it needs escalated, it's been resolved, and it moves through the pipeline.
Okay. And then a little more about the call center. Is it located locally? How is it staffed? How many people? And what are the hours of the call center? Through the chair.
Thank you for the question. So through the chair, we recently made a adjustment to our call center, and so now it is located nationally, and it's a team of it's a blended team. So part of it is some AI call agents, which allowed us to reduce costs, while at the same time it is real agents as well. So with respect to how many are in there, I'm not privy to that information. They have an entire organization that's just dedicated to taking and fielding calls.
So through the chair, it's like a subcontractor, or it's a contractual relationship with a vendor who provides the call center?
Yes. So through the chair, yes, it's a vendor that provides. So we have a contract with them. Mm-hmm. So a direct contract where if someone is calling that 77 number, it does route to them.
Right. And what are the hours of the call center through the chair?
So through the chair, I believe it is 24 hours, but I need to verify that. They'll get an answer or a response, but I do need to verify the actual hours 7 days a week.
Okay. And then through the chair, is there a reason that the outsourcing would be considered a best practice as opposed to providing jobs locally to folks at a call center?
So through the chair, we did have it locally at one point. However, after being docked the $1 million at the beginning of the year, we had to make changes to ensure that we could, one, still function and still be efficient. So the efficiency was related to the ability to leverage automations and artificial intelligence that is a specialized skill set that I would say Cleveland has some room for growth. The more we're able to grow there, the more then we'll be able to keep the contracts here because there's an efficiency cost. But we could not run our current operations in the same way with that same level of customer satisfaction if we couldn't use, again, the power of technology to do so, which was found nationally and not locally at this time.
I think, Mr. Chair, is this my last Digital C hearing? Yes. I can come back as a guest.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Public comment.
What's that?
You're on the body until January 4th, whenever we swear in.
Well, that's right. I know. We don't know if we'll have another. It's okay. This may be my last Digital C hearing. I think this might be worth revisiting. It's just an interesting topic, I think. In an ideal world, we'd love to see as much economic development driven locally as possible. I'm certainly out of my depth when it comes to call centers, AI. But I think it's worth continuing to raise this topic so we, would have an opportunity to monitor and see if there are chances to bring it back locally and what that would look like. I did have one piece of feedback from a very loyal customer of yours who is my constituent, who said that they are highly satisfied with Digital C, except that the feedback was that it seemed that the online form was not talking to the call center, or there was some disconnect. This would have been in the past 6 months, so maybe this condition has changed. So I'm just curious, using that specific anecdote, they had submitted an online ticket or complaint and then called to follow up. They were interacting with both systems, but there seemed to be a disconnect between the systems. So I was curious to ask about that through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, one, thank you for giving us that review. But this is where we get, once again, about perfection versus adjusting over time. We are running a massively complex system at times that requires all of us to communicate. And communication can make or break an operation. And there are times when our communication has not been what it needed to be within departments. And that has made it difficult at times. And so I'll say that is one of our big areas of growth where we've seen massive improvements, but we also see areas where we need to improve on. And that is just one of them, ensuring that our systems that are set up, that we are all talking to each other, all the heads are all talking to each other, while at the same time just maintaining the high volume that we have. I mean, we are installing a month 400 to 500 residents. Those are multiple interactions, and multiple pieces and parts have to go in for that install to be successful. But I would say we're scheduling about 800 a month. And so when you're scheduling that many, oftentimes it's, oh, I'm late because my kid doesn't have this, or the dog's outside so we can't, or it's a number of things. And so this once again gets to the digital, which is easy on technology. The divide is the people part. And that people part is something that we're going to continuously improve on, but it is not easy to maintain that level of communication with everyone, but we have a commitment to getting better there. And that does sound like a real experience that a customer would have.
So in other words, through the chair, if someone submits an online ticket, it doesn't communicate with the same HubSpot system? Through the chair?
Through the chair to the councilwoman. Yes, it does. There was a period in transition when we were offboarding one call center and onboarding another call center, and we had to integrate some APIs in a better way to ensure that the ticket comes through as appropriate. So there was a small transitionary period where we had to shore up our systems, but the form that the call center uses is integrating straight into our CRM at this point.
So it sounds like if this same customer were to report something online in the future, the call center would be able to reference that same submission.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, that's correct. There's also a chatbot, so there's various channels that could be deemed online. I'm not sure which channel this customer interacted with us, but the chatbot, our team has also done a great job of building a knowledge base, of putting all the information from our organization into it to help give that person who's using the chatbot the best answer possible. And I think we've had a great focus on customer growth and acquisition, especially hit out the gate in year one to hit, our numbers and ensure that we're meeting our goals. So it's been a great just opportunity to be able to focus. Now we have customers. What is that experience and how do we make it the best for Cleveland residents?
Okay, great. And I think I just have one more question, Mr. Chair. Curious about speaking of sort of vendors and contractors, the service team. I remember when it was at least a year ago or more. How is the vendor relationship with the teams actually going out in the field? And by the way, I do not believe they're branded Canopy or Digital C, which might help, unless I'm mistaken. I believe I saw an install going in, and it was just, ABC XYZ company, right? So a little more curious about that, and that seems like it could be also a branding assist if your contractor or vendor clearly asserted they were part of Canopy.
Josh?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, yes, that was an opportunity when it became flagged to us that there was a truck driving around that did not have our stuff on it. Actually, that truck, there was one I remember had another internet provider
Right.
here stuff on it. We're like,
Right.
wait a second. So we caught that one as well. We do use, in the spirit of local, we do use a locally wrapped company that does wrap our vehicles. But when it comes to the vendors, we have magnets. It seemed like that truck that day, just they didn't put on the magnets that have the Digital C actual on it. But from the breakdown from the service team, that I would say is a higher turnover role. It's a lot of contract work in the field, and they're contracting on behalf of all the internet providers. And, with the recent allocations being made through the BEAD program at the federal level, that was a $42 billion of broadband investment across the country. So there's high turnover of these service teams who are going to continuously come in and come out, pop in and do a job, and then we have a new person in and a new person. On our side, we have 9 local installers that are all, they're Clevelanders. They live here. They're from the neighborhoods. And so the good thing is we're consistent on that side. I would say we're trying to evolve to a very fast evolving landscape that has contractors doing projects all across the country who are making themselves available. So, but that absolutely, there was a very big point of frustration on our side when we saw a vehicle with another internet provider's branding servicing our customers.
Got it. So just through the chair, there are 9 local vendors doing Digital C's installs.
Through the chair, those are actually 9 employees. They are employees of Digital C. They're on our field team.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Spencer. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, and to Digital C folks, based on Jenny Spencer's line of questioning, when you look at the penetration, look at the numbers per ward, within a given ward, do you have, going back to her request as it pertains to a map or tracking system, when in each ward, is there hotspots where more people are signing up? So I would request that, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to know, like in my own ward, where it seems the greatest request or penetration rate versus other sections of the community. So I think that's important for us to know. And then your marketing, I'm assuming you're marketing across the board. You're trying to get your message out to everybody. So that's why I think it's important for us to see in each of our communities where we're having successes and then where we are not.
Josh, is that something you can provide?
Through the chair, that is correct. We can give you a
Yeah.
heat map of concentrated,
Right.
residential. Yep.
Okay. The other thing is, again, if we look at some of the areas, and you mentioned that the west side was slower to get into the program, but then again, I look at Ward 1. Is it because, what's your observation? Is it because people are happy with their present service? What would you attribute it to? Because again, the price you would think would be the hook, would be the attraction. So what what is the reluctancy when you look across the city? What do you define as the reluctancy?
Through the chair, I don't think it's a matter of reluctancy. I
Okay.
would say that when we look at Ward 1, we also see a ward where home ownership is incredibly high.
Okay.
And when we look at the breakdown where home ownership might not be as high, you're seeing a lot more people taking the service.
Okay.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And what we're seeing with some consumers, price matters for a lot of people here, but then there are also consumers where price isn't the thing for them.
Okay.
A lot of them are like, you know what, I'm fine with what I have. It does what I need to do. In the event that it doesn't, we'll call you. And so that is a response that we do get from some residents, especially in some of the more affluent pockets within the city.
Okay. Do you have any indication, or whoever would have any indication, as to what the average, excuse me, I apologize here, as to what the average bill would be at present for a non-digital C customer? We have an idea what that would be across the city for a non-digital C customer for internet?
Through the chair, I'm sorry. So you're saying what
I'm talking with outside of
Oh,
your
yeah, so-
customer base, but in the private world, what would be the market rate, you think?
So through the chair, the average is usually around $70.
Okay.
But what I will say, that's, again, there's bundles involved in that. There's, in some cases, you might sign up for a service, and then every 6 months or so, your bill is increasing.
Yes.
But typically in these discussions for the national average, we say it's $70.
$70, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to, thank you, Chair. I just want to say to the team, to Digital C, I'm impressed with your numbers. I think you did a great job since the last time you've been here and where you at today.
Thanks.
So I applaud you on that. And another reason why I do that is because the numbers in Ward 4 look fantastic. I have no complaints in the Ward 4 ward that the residents are dissatisfied. They just call me and ask, what's the number and how can I get it? So I applaud you on that. So due to that, I just have a few questions. I had to study this a little bit more, but I want to say, Chair to the team, everybody talks about digital equity, but what's really happening out there when you connect with people? Chair to the director.
Through the chair to the Councilwoman, one, thank you for the kind words, and the ability to be able to serve folks in Ward 4 means a lot to us too. When digital equity, especially present day, people are having conversations with their family members who don't live in Cleveland, and they don't have an $18 subscription. They don't have free. And so to us, it's beautiful to be able to disrupt as an element of poverty. And when we're connecting residents that, we talk about internet, sometimes we do take it for granted here. When you see a family crying because now you have this in your home, to some people it's a thing of status. That's like, I made it. And to have that where their reality otherwise, if we weren't there, would be them in a McDonald's parking lot. I seeing that matters. And, when I look at pictures like this, when you look at that top right, bottom left, whatever, this is representation. Like when you see these kids there, that little boy was looking at me like I was his big brother the whole time. I don't think he was hearing what I'm saying, but it's like, that's what we're doing here. And I think you're changing the course and changing the trajectory. It starts with internet, but it ends with people. And to be able to see the advancements that our community has been able to make, to see the trust that we've been able to get. We know this market's skeptical, but to see them putting trust in us, and then allows them to turn on and put trust in other systems as well. And so to see that growth, it's just a blessing, and to see the way that the families have been engaging with us, that is a joy, and that we don't take lightly.
I appreciate that. And to see those pictures, I do understand. Chair to, you the director, or how should I approach you, Josh?
I think director's fine.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, so I know there were some hard questions pertaining to the initial ordinance that was passed and the funding that you received, and I understand the harder questions have to come first. But however, I have some other questions that I want to continue to ask. With the staff, with the staff with the SNAP benefits for being cut on November 1st, and for folks struggling to make ends meet, what does the 18 plan actually do for them? Chair to the director.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, it does everything. I mean, again, the reality where we don't exist. One, there's no, and I'm not accusing the other internet providers of anything, but there's not an incentive for them to lower the prices if we don't go with the low price. We are the lowest price in this market. We represent a very necessary market correction amidst whatever we're calling what's going on. And so the fact that Cleveland did that, that's the foresight that oftentimes we don't benefit from. Oftentimes we're the ones last, slow to adopt things, slow to do things. Our indicators would determine that. But in this case, we got it right. And I would say that Clevelanders right now, there's a sense of pride. Yeah, people are struggling, but again, it's $18 and it's not $70. And like, that's a huge difference. When I look at, for our families, especially families with children children in the school system, the ability for them to have it for free, that means the world to them when, again, you don't have food stamps. That's massive. I'll tell everyone, we got it right. And I'll tell you, if you are in Baltimore, if you're in Detroit, if you're in Philadelphia, whatever, you don't have this. And at some point, you're thinking, how do I reallocate some funding to get something stood up like this to protect my most vulnerable residents? Because if I'm a for-profit company, why would I need to go out of my way to connect these people over here? And historically, history will tell us that they didn't do that, which is why we exist. And so as I look at where we are now and where this national thing going on and how it's impacting Cleveland, I would say Clevelanders, we got it right. And there's money that people can save during a very, very difficult time to save anything.
And I do understand that wholeheartedly, because I'm just going to say this behind that. I'm not going to name the other internet company, but my son, my young chair to the team, my son lives in Virginia. And he called me the other day, and his family just was, the SNAP program ended already, but his internet, he pays $308 a month for the internet he pays in Virginia.
That's a car payment.
And they no longer receive the SNAP program, but thankfully, due to his income, him and his wife can still adjust. But to say the least, when I mentioned to him about this, Digital C, is it there? He said it would never come there because it monopolized the other internet company monopolized the area where he lives, and no other internet can come in to where he lives. So say the least, due to the geographical areas and the income that is perceived in every city in the United States, that this is a milestone for the residents in the city of Cleveland to pay the $18 a month. So for us to accommodate this funding for Digital Seed, you have to look at the mass across the cities to see what other people are dealing with and can't compromise what they do have. But he said, for my son, chair to the team, my son had just said that they are managing. So this is huge, just to continue to pay $18 a month, and you know that your SNAP going to be ended just in a couple of days.
That's right.
So hopefully that a lot of residents in the city of Cleveland can still maintain to keep the $18 a month, due to their income and their lifestyle. But I do have a couple more questions. Chair to the director. Can you talk about a family or a singer who stands out, someone who really shows what digital inclusion looks like when it works? Chair to the director.
So through the chair to the councilwoman, so we had a resident that was teed up today that was going to come here. Unfortunately, she ended up getting COVID. A COVID shot, I'm sorry. COVID shot. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry.
Big difference.
Whoa. All right. So she ended up getting a COVID shot and a flu shot. So as you all know who received those shots, it makes you pretty under the weather. But, you know, she's a great example of someone that I would highlight because she participated in a drone program. So our director, LaDonna Norris, she facilitates drone programs for not just kids, but also seniors. And we have in Cleveland such a benefit of residents who are willing to almost do things that they don't quite fully understand. Like they might not fully understand the drones, but they want to be included in that. They don't fully understand artificial intelligence, but they want to learn about that. And I think what's been inspiring to our team is seeing that the internet is an entry point to broader opportunity. That the minute you connect these people, it's like, okay, to see them go from YouTube is the only thing I know to now I'm flying drones in the backyard. That creates an entire pendulum shift that now passes down to that grandparent who's playing with that drone. Well, now what does that kid want to be? Potentially might want to be a drone operator. I mean, there's things that we're seeing opportunity unfold. I would actually invite LaDonna, our Director of Education Outreach, just to say a little bit about some of the classes we're seeing, and namely who is in those classes. Because I think that would surprise people when we find out what's being trained and who's being trained, I should say.
Excellent, thank you. Through my director to the council, we have a lot of fun providing digital literacy training in the city of Cleveland. And so the class that we're referencing, we actually taught over at PNC Fairfax this summer, and we had a number of grandparents and parents dropping off their grandchildren to take a class in, we called it Flight School, teaching children how to fly drones and getting a residential flyer license. And the grandparents and parents asked, can we stay and learn? And we said, yeah, that was our first intergenerational class teaching drones, but it has really taken off, no pun intended. A lot of people interested in drones because it is something that realtors are looking for, that the high schools are looking for, to have people fly over their marching band practices and football practices. But it's an area that we didn't anticipate, but the interest is there, and so we continue to teach it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's good to know, because that's something that our chair to the director, that's something that the residents need to know, what else is going on with Digital C. Have another question, but I also want to go back to the other one. We have a chair to the director. We have residents who are now having utility problems too. Electric, gas, so-and-so. And they depend on everything that's accessible to them in their lifestyle. And to say the least, to know that they're having problems with their utility bills, and also to try to keep their internet service continue on as well. It's really hardship for all councils to have to kind of manage that too as well. So just to know, when questions was asked to you earlier, yes, we deal with a mountain of a lot of things as well as anyone else. So we have to balance things for our residents in every type of aspect when they call us, to know how they can get any assistance, and also how they can keep all their utilities on. So we share the same sentiment of what's going on, with everything and everybody. But this is my last question, Chair, to the team. If you could clarify one misconception about Digital C work on your work or your contract with the city, what would it be?
One misconception about Digital C. I would say the biggest one for us is, like, we have a pursuit for sustainability, absolutely. But that $18 a month point, we're committed to that $18 in ways that are mission and purpose driven. Like, this isn't a profit driven approach. We know that. $18, especially in 2025, is not where you find profit. And so for us, I think that there is a belief that, well, if things don't go well, you guys are going to try and change the price. No, that $18, that's a commitment we're making. And that commitment isn't just Digital C making that. That's a commitment of funders like Mandel, who's still involved in this. Through all the turmoils that we've experienced, still having our back, that means something because they're invested in that just like we are. And so for us, I think the biggest thing for us is like that $18 a month is a point of pride. And we are preserving that to the best of our ability because if that did not exist, to your point on all those utilities that people are struggling to pay, they wouldn't have internet. And our digital divide would be widening. The sobering comment I would say to everybody in this room today that if this contract did not exist, our digital divide would be widening. Other cities across America, their digital divides are widening because they do not have an $18 a month solution. So Cleveland now looks, and we are, the smartest city in America as it pertains to digital equity because we had the foresight to make the investment before it got dark for a whole lot of people.
Wow, thank you for that. And I have one more.
On that point, Councilwoman Gray, I want to commend this council because
Absolutely.
it was the council's idea to come up with this long before Digital C existed, right? When we allocated $20 million and we didn't know how we were going to do it or what we were going to do it. It was this council, and we actually sat on that $20 million for probably 2 years, close to 2 years before, trying to figure it out. So we don't get to toot our own horns too often, but if you're saying the wonderful things about the city, that it all started with Cleveland City Council. But we're glad that you're a part of it and continuing the growth. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right, Chair, this is your question. I'm asking this question to you, to Josh. As you know, we have many residents that call us due to their utility bills. And I appreciate you so much stepping in to help me along the way, like you have done to assist a lot of the residents when they are calling for, assistance per se. But say hypothetically, a resident call you and say they lost Digital C.
So
what would be your perspective on that?
Okay, so for Digital C, I chair utilities. So
Yes.
I help a lot of my colleagues with residents who fall behind in their ability to keep up with their utility bills, right? And that's just what we do as people in a council. And I know the councilwoman's question is, what happens if I get one of those calls saying, hey, I lost my Digital C? I know what I would probably do. I'd probably just write a check to Digital C for $200 and say, leave this person going. But is there a program or is there any assistance for people who are on the $18 a month, who are not CMSD, have a CMSD child, and $18 a month, especially coming up with the possibility of people not being able to eat, right? Does Digital C offer anything, or would you be willing to work with us, right, to assure that as long as somebody's not a year behind in their payments or whatever, do you know what I'm saying? Somebody who literally fell on hard times, still needs the internet. Is Digital C offering something, or would you work with somebody who couldn't afford the $18 a month, but who are subscribers to Digital C?
Through the chair, or to the chair, I should say, the commitment is absolutely there for us to work with, and we don't want to cut it off anybody. One, we don't want to do that because from a labor standpoint, we need to get more people on. So us cutting people off doesn't really serve us right now. In addition to that, we don't benefit by sending someone to collections for not paying their bill, because now we're just perpetuating a greater negative cycle. And so for us, we do work with them. Now, when someone hasn't paid their bill in over a year, we will actually reach out to them a number of times. And now what we've done is we've implemented a throttling program where it's like, we're not going to turn you off because we know you need it, but we're going to throttle you, and then you're going to pay your bill, and then we can restore the speeds. And so that to us is the humane humane way
get
of
it.
doing this.
And throttle means, explain to
So
people.
throttling means we will reduce your speeds where you can still operate. It's enough bandwidth for you to pay your bill, but it's not enough bandwidth for you to power your Hulu or whatever to watch the game. And it's done that way because it's like pay your bill, because your bill just isn't your bill. This is the city's bill. Everyone is on this network together. So if some residents just sandbag and not paying, you're impacting the paying customer. So everyone has to be on the same page, but we get it. Times are hard. And thankfully, those letters and numbers next to our name, 501c3, it does give us the ability to fundraise. And we would want to work together with you all. As we know, again, it's about to get dark. And we would absolutely be interested, as certain bills are going to pile up, to be able to work with this council to find some type of relief for the residents.
So yeah, I think the answer, Councilwoman Gray, is just give us a call. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Right. Are you good? Are you good? Councilman Conwell.
Thank you. I won't be long here. Matter of fact, this young man, Josh, he visits my my ward club and my residents like Digital C a great deal. They like you guys a great deal. And I'm not on the committee here. This is probably my second time really ever visiting the committee. When I was headed somewhere else, and I said, well, let me go in and publicly, you were at Truvine, was 2 months or 3 months ago, talking with the residents through the chair to Josh. You were there on a Thursday, and you were narrating about Digital C, and you got some great feedback. You know, because I got to tell you, you know, in my community meeting, you don't get a lot of feedback there. That's good, that's great, but they like you guys. They like you guys a lot, and I think you recruited some people as well.
So through the chair, yes, that is correct. There were a number of folks who actually raised their hands too to say like, hey, I can do that install. Like we've actually hired a former roofer who, he's not afraid to climb ladders, and we're like, great, we can use you. And I think that's the value of you all doing these ward meetings, because not only does it allow us, obviously, to interface with residents, but we're in a consistent place where we want to hire local. We benefit. That's a local advantage for us. And so, you know, we thank you for even hosting that and having the rapport you do with the residents in your ward, because that extension has co-signed our ability to do the work that we do in your ward as well.
Yeah, they gave great feedback to you. What I can do to expand affordable internet in my ward is take you around to some of the key stakeholders at Martin Lepores Family Center, to some of the churches that's there, to Murders Taylor, so that they could build a better relationship, because we need internet. I can't just rely on you guys to do it because you don't know the way. But I know the way because I'm always walking my neighborhood and take you out there to visit people. So how is that invitation?
Through the chair, we would strongly welcome that invitation, especially with our faith community. I believe that they're going to be called on a lot during these times. And so any way that we can be additive to that, we certainly welcome that.
Okay. Now, switching gears, I think you mentioned lessons learned, and I think your marketing director mentioned lessons learned also. So what have you guys learned that could benefit us or benefit this project in the long run?
So I'm gonna pass it to our marketing director. Through the chair, one of the values that sticks with me, and this is for everybody, we progress at the speed of trust. Mm-hmm. And residents initially being hesitant to take us, I'll reference Councilman Plenzik's advice, which was, you know, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And so it took us a while to break through that. And our biggest lesson I would say that we've learned is, again, we progress at the speed of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Through the chair to the council person. Yes, you're right. We have a lot of growth, and with growth comes growing pains. So we have learned a lot about systems integration and integrating AI and automations, but overall, it's really how to connect with people. You know, our purpose is we connect people, and showing up at ward club meetings, celebrating our 6,000th customer, our 5,000th customer. We are, I think, setting the bar for being super intentional about making the customer feel seen. We brought a 4-person band to this our customer's home, pizza, cookies for the kids, because we want to say thank you, and we need to earn trust, and we need to keep the trust. So I think when we recently went to a conference of wireless internet service providers. It's a broadband conference, so it's a first for me being in that space. And overall, what we hear is the customer experience rules. You can have the technology that delivers, the service works, great. No one really thinks about their internet service provider beyond that. But if you make someone feel special and have that unreasonable hospitality, then you can win. And I think we're trying to really create that feel with Cleveland residents.
Yeah, first thing first with me is quality. Josh just mentioned service, that it's working when I need it to work. Like, for example, this morning, Yvonne, my wife, switched over to Digital C. It was raining real bad, and I needed to get something off the internet. But the other internet provider was down. So she switched over to Digital C, and then we got what we needed to get. So you guys are giving us some very, very good quality. And I would know, because if you didn't give us good quality, then I got to hear it. You know what I'm talking about. So you are doing good quality there. So saying that, because I wouldn't push something that I didn't believe in, your hot spots that Councilmember Mike Polensek just asked you for, I need that too, but I want to do something with it. There's something I want to do with it, that if wherever there's a glitch at, then we'll visit that area to build it up. For me, it doesn't mean that much unless I get outcome measures from it. So if it's on Tacoma or Massey or Pierpont, then we'll hit those areas and meet with block club presidents or key stakeholders so we can build it up. Just give me the issues and concerns in those areas, because I need to help you.
Through the chairs of the council, absolutely yes. We would like to turn that over. I know we have that Morningstar apartment complex.
Yeah,
in your
106.
ward.
What is that? 10600 off of East 105.
Yep. So there's a street either in front or behind, depending on how you're looking at it, where it's almost every resident has us, because it all started with one resident who got it, who then told his neighbor, who then he went across the street, and then it just populated. And like, that's a point of pride when we look at that. That's a hot spot we can learn from. But to your point, in those other areas where we're not, that's an opportunity for us to replicate that same approach over there too.
That's true. That's around Parkwood and East 106th Street. It's a turnaround that's there the sewer district did. So I know exactly where that's at. I'll look at them when I walk around there. There's another piece I'm really big on. You're showing the children here, and they've seen you out there. What's that, at a festival? Are you guys doing outreach or what through the chair?
So through the chair, I would say that we are almost at every Cleveland festival, neighborhood meeting imaginable. Again, it's building relationships. The top right image, or top left, depending where you're looking, that's us actually at the Phoenix Village Estates in Ward 5. The bottom right, I know that's in one of our neighborhoods. I'm not sure where that one is, but then the left one, that's actually in Clark Fulton. And so, we will pop up any and everywhere where we see people convening. That's where we want to be.
That's a good thing. You know what? Speaking about looking at the schools, CMSD, when we do open house there or whatever the case may be, if you guys can pop up at some of these schools, like you see that young man looking at you right now, because he sees himself when he sees you. That's why he's looking at you like the way that he's looking at you. And they need to know about your systems that you just mentioned so that they can see, children need to see success every single day. And they see that, and especially, I'm not afraid to say it, going to the chair when they see you, Josh, a young African-American male. When they see that, they see success. So this little boy here is looking at you saying he could be you. But only thing that we need is for you. I'm not saying you're not visiting Glenville or FDR or these schools. Just visit the schools and they see you. And not just pushing Digital C. You guys have systems in place, accounting, accounts receivables, you got purchasing and procurement, you have contracts. Let them know about that. That's why he's looking at you, because he's wondering. He won't look at me like that because I look like granddad. But he look at you like that, and that's very, very important. because that way he can see the way. So Digital C, I'm glad you did a great job, Josh, at the Ward Club meeting. But if you can please work with the schools and visit the children at the schools, that would be cool beans. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Councilman Conwell. Just to wrap this up here, I got a quick question for you. MAC addresses identify unique, Do MAC addresses identify unique households on your network?
I wouldn't say they identify households. They identify network traffic per se.
Okay. Can we get a printout of unique MAC addresses in a given week or month? I think that would be for the audit team. I think that question's coming from, it's just another way to verify. That you actually have movement and an address, I guess. I don't know.
So
We'll put that request in. The team will work with you guys with this. All right, two other questions that I have before I make a statement real quick. How many customers do you guys have outside the city of Cleveland?
through the chair, I believe it's 480 in Detroit.
Okay, so and what are they paying? What's the average out there?
So through the chair, the Rocket Community Fund actually subsidized their service for 3 years.
Okay. So it's zero.
Zero.
Okay. I was hoping to get like an East Cleveland or Cleveland Heights so that I could find out how much your internet service actually is, so that we could compare it to see what a great deal this is. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where I was going with that one. And then this is a 5-year deal, right? So when does the 5 years start?
Through the chair,
I know we've had this discussion
right
internally before.
Yeah. So
it hasn't started yet. The time hasn't started tolling yet, has it?
well, it's my understanding it would have been in July of this year.
Okay. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So
July.
July. So $18 a month until July of 31.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Well, it's 25. So no, July
30. 30.
Yeah.
30. I don't know. Do we 25, 26, 25, 26?
Is it 30? All right, it's 30. Yeah.
Wait a minute. No. Wait, go.
26.
25 to 26.
That's one.
26
I
to
started
27.
counting. Okay.
27 to 28. 29 to 30. 30 to 31.
You skipped one.
28 to 29. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. But that's when we're saying.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. Okay. And then if you remember, and I remember our very first conversation, that this council wanted to assure that this was citywide, right? And we know why we had those concerns, okay? And now I'm looking at your households by ward, and you've got the West Park neighborhood, right, which consists of wards 16 and 17, combined have less customers than 12 of the other wards. That was a concern of mine at the beginning, and now that concern is becoming reality, right? That we're only servicing a certain section of the city, when this is for the whole city and citywide. Now, I understand your contract is based on people who previously had no internet or were on ACP, and maybe that number would be lower. But are these the total numbers that you have, or are these the numbers that you're using that you count towards your contract?
Through the chair, these are our total numbers, and this is what I'll also say on that point too. We're 2 years in, and again, these sites are less than a year old that you're naming on the west side. And so to me, it's absolutely heard, because when I see that, I knew when we put it in, I knew you were going to ask us.
Well, yeah.
So, and rightfully so. For us, I think that this is more of us, for us to find an opportunity, because it's like, what would be the number that if we were to show you this, knowing what we're explaining, that this is less than a year old, what would have been a number that you would have saw that you would have been okay with? Because again, we still have, we're in October still. We got November, we got December, and then 2 more years on top of that.
But
to
we
get to a
also know
number.
very little installs are going to be, we know that historically, right? You're not doing as many installs November, December, January, February, maybe, I mean, March, but we know when the majority of your installs are occurring, right?
Well, I would say the beginning of this year, Q1, we came out the gate. Now, immediately we had some fire under us, but January,
yeah.
January, February, March. I mean, we were in I mean, the conditions.
Okay, but what about October, November, December last year, though?
That's where we got the Marnos numbers, because that's
You
where
know.
we got the permit. So that's
Okay.
where we got the most of our numbers during that time.
Well, I'm just, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
To the chairman, as a Ward 17 resident,
Right.
I would just say anecdotally, there is information that could inform this conversation too. I was at the third place for volleyball T-shirt turn-in yesterday for St. Mark and talking with parents there. And like, yes, I would love this, but like, I don't, and I said, well, here's the eligibility or here's the criteria that we're installing right now. They're like, someone else needs it. By all means, we're good. We got our internet. So it is interesting just from like a person-to-person human
Right.
level, what we're going to encounter in certain wards.
Right, all right. And I know that you were out at my Councilmatic, well, you weren't last Friday out at my Councilmatic event, but you were out. The company was represented. But those are numbers that, I think with some sort of marketing, and again, I live up there as well, and, I know St. Mark's very well, and St. Joe's, and OLA, and, you're right, but, $18 a month is still $18 a month, right, compared to 70 or 80, so. My last comment is, just so that it's no shock, you remember this year, it's either you make it.
Or we don't.
Or you don't. We negotiated the first year, right, because everything was new and all that other stuff, but this year, there's you either hit your mark and you get your money, or you don't hit your mark and you don't get your money. That's how it's going to go this year, as you agreed to that last year when we negotiated everything. Anybody else have anything? Anybody else want to say anything? No? Good. All right. At that point, at this time, then we want to call the Utilities Chair, the Utilities Committee. We're going to adjourn till the call of the chair. Thank you.